So, how are you guys? Good? I'm good. So, we have a special guest today. This is my mother, Audrey Woods. Class, mom, class. So, this is my last lecture for the semester, actually. We've got a review session on Wednesday, and then my lecture on financial analysis, which is not part of the book, next Monday, and another exam next Wednesday. Then we'll have spring break, and then we'll basically have guest lecturers, and we'll be focused on finishing up your case analysis papers for the rest of the semester. So this is my lecture on management analysis. So we're down here in supporting organizational arrangements on the Hambrick model. Chapter-wise from your book, we're talking about Chapter 11, Organizational Structure and Controls. And here we go. So the entire lecture, the entire class and set of lectures that I've done so far has really been about crafting business strategy. And that is primarily a market-driven activity. And it really depends on factors that are not so much about execution as they are about planning. So attracting and pleasing customers, selecting and building a company's resources and capabilities, making a profit, balancing the first two elements. It's about finding the right plans. The lecture today is on where the rubber meets the road, and it's primarily an operations-driven activity. And successful execution in this case depends on management's ability to direct change, improve operations, build a strategy supportive culture, and get things done to deliver good results. So the lecture today is really about executing and implementing rather than planning. So there's eight elements of strategy execution or good management that I want to talk about today. The first is organization. So building an organization that's full of the right people and able to that has the capabilities that you need to be successful. Allocating resources properly. So in addition to human resources, all of the other resources of the company, choosing and implementing those properly. Setting policies and procedures that are going to be supportive for the organization to be successful. Planning on and doing continuous improvement activities to always be improving the quality of your delivery. Focusing on management information systems and the supporting hardware and software for the organization. Rewards and incentives. So basically, how are you rewarding and incentivizing employees to be successful? instilling the proper organizational culture, and then finally leading, being delivering good leadership in terms of managing by walking around and really inspiring staff rather than just managing them. So the first part of these 8 elements, organization. The idea here is to assemble a capable management team, and it's really about finding the right people, not more than anything else. You want to find people who can make it happen to fill each slot in the company. Your existing management team may be suitable for this. Your core executive group, however, may need strengthening to either promote from within or bring in skilled workers when needed. And it's really about empowering the people that you already have. This is not about doing tasks as much as it is about finding people who are capable and empowering them to do their jobs. The number of tactics commonly used to staff the organization with the best people possible. First of all, careful screening of applicants. This reminds me of when I used to run my my lead generation service, Market Driver Consulting. Careful screening of applicants was extremely important. I needed people with a certain sales skill set, and I think I went through 14 or 15 different attempts over the course of the time that I ran that business, just trying to find the right person with the right skill set. Extremely important to find the right person to begin with before you ever hire them. And then once you have hired people, there's a number of activities that sort of support empowering your employees. And all of these remind me of my time when I was a consultant at PricewaterhouseCoopers. PricewaterhouseCoopers was really particularly good at these empowering activities. So things like investing in employee training, providing promising employees with skill stretch assignments. So really challenging you to do things that are challenging and interesting rather than drudgery. Rotating people through jobs in different functional areas or geographic regions. Pricewaterhouse was great at rotating people around different types of projects, which were very different focus each time. Striving to retain high performers via promotions and pay increases. It was a great environment to, you knew that if you did a good job, you would get a raise and you would get a promotion each year. It was a great culture for actually believing in getting rewarded for good work. And then coaching average performers to improve their abilities. There was a great mentoring system in Pricewaterhouse where a senior manager was linked up with me and would really be a mentor for me over the course of my time there, and that worked out really great. So you really want to choose the right people and then empower them to be successful when you're managing an organization. So, allocating resources. The next of the second of the 8 areas that I want to go over today. You want to allocate resources in ways to support effective strategy. So this means funding proposals that hold promise and turning down ones that don't. Providing the proper amount of funding to support new strategic initiatives and new strategies that call for reallocation of resources. My time at Bertelsmann is a really good example of this. I've often thought that Bertelsmann is a media company, but I've often felt that they don't actually know anything about media. What they know really well is how to buy companies at the right time and sell them at the right time. So they tend to make very shrewd investments at a low price, and then sell off those investments again at a very high price. And they've been masterful over the years at choosing the right strategic proposals to fund. So very, very important to allocate resources properly in any organization. Policies and procedures facilitate good strategy execution by providing top-down guidance on how things should be done, enforcing consistency in how strategy-critical activities are performed, and promoting a work climate that facilitates good strategy execution. The big point here for policies and procedures is as an organization gets bigger, as you have more people to manage and deal with, you have to have some standardization and consistency in the way you do things, or things become unmanageable. And a good example of that is the grading that I do in this class. There's certain rubrics that I use for grading certain policies and procedures that I've set up in the syllabus that I just enforce consistently with everybody, and that allows me to. If I didn't do that, I would get caught up in infinite rehashing of, well, is this the right grade? Is this the wrong grade? Is this the right grade? Is this the wrong grade? It's very important to have consistent policies and procedures for managing an organization. Otherwise, it becomes just unwieldy when you have too many people. Continuous improvement, area number 4 of the 8 that I wanted to talk about. So first of all, searching out and adopting best practices is integral to effective implementation. Benchmarking, in particular, is the backbone of the process of identifying, studying, and implementing best practices. So Pricewaterhouse, when I was there, was really good at having best practices databases for the best way to do any management activity you can imagine. We had databases that gave you examples of the way that other organizations have done things in a way that allowed us to benchmark against that. Great resource. And then finally, you want to expose yourself to new ideas, colleagues, companies, industries, academia. I really learned this a lot at Market Driver. When you're, whatever business you're managing, you can really get into tunnel vision a lot, and you get so wrapped up in the day-to-day of the grind of managing your business and the goals that you have for this week and the next month and the next year, that you don't really take the time to figure out new and better ways of doing things. And sometimes the easiest, most direct way to do that is just to force yourself to read industry magazines. Force yourself to talk to colleagues from different industries or different divisions of the company. Talk to people from different companies altogether, even from your competition or your suppliers, or from companies that have nothing to do with your industry. And also, it's great to come back and touch base with professors and academics like me. One of the nice things about academia is that things move very slowly in academia compared to the real business world. And we have the time in academia to think about better ways to do things. We have the time to think about sort of whimsical thoughts at times that most of the business world does not have time to waste time on. So um, it's very useful as well to sort of periodically touch base with academics because it gives you a fresh perspective on new ways to do things. So different points all about finding ways to continuously improve the way you're running your company. Excuse me. Management systems, so hardware and software. Good information and operating systems are essential for first-rate strategy execution. Systems are needed to track and report different things such as customer data, operations data, employee data, supplier data, and financial data. Yep, that's it. My time at Robert Half when I was a headhunter, I think is a great example of customer and employee data. We had a customer relationship management system, which was just second to none. The database we had notes taken 10 years ago in some cases about conversations had between people from our company and pretty much every other company out there in Southern California. It was an amazing resource to gather together information on the customers that we were targeting and to focus the efforts of current staff as much as possible on problems and challenges that had already been identified at the customer's level. So that was a great example of information systems that track customer data. Systems that track operations data, supplier data, financial data. When I was at Bertelsmann, we did a large SAP implementation at one time. SAP is an enterprise resource planning system. So amazing connectivity of our warehouse data with our marketing data with everything else. It was an amazing resource that the organization implemented. So information systems, great important part of where the rubber meets the road and managing your organization effectively. Rewards and incentives. Reward systems should include both monetary rewards and non-monetary rewards. And again, my time at Price Waterhouse was a great example of both of these. I like to say that you can't get the best quality employees without paying top dollar, but you can't keep good employees without doing the non-monetary things like praise and recognition. So on the monetary side of things, base pay increases, bonuses, profit sharing plans, stock options, piecework incentives. The time that I spent at Price Waterhouse was great for, they paid competitive salaries. We had a great benefits package. We had a great retirement package. The money was there from day one. And that is one of the reasons why that organization has an easy time attracting talent. But the reason that people stayed and the reason that they were happy in their jobs was because of the non-monetary incentives. Just being praised and told that you did a good job it's incredibly important and so often overlooked in management these days. Having stimulating assignments, things that are actually interesting to do, that was always the case at Price Waterhouse, and it makes a huge difference in your motivation to come to work every day. Autonomy and rapid promotion as well. So really feeling like you're not being micromanaged is incredibly empowering for for employees, and tends to lead to much more content, stable, long-term employees than if you don't focus on those non-monetary incentives. Culture. Corporate culture or work climate is the product of work practices and behaviors that sort of define how we do things here. The approach to people, the approach to how they manage people, and the chemistry of the work environment. So, I've been in a lot of different types of organizational cultures over the years, and they're all quite different. So the entrepreneurial ventures that I've been a part of are very much sort of us against the world. That's the kind of mentality and the culture that you find inside many small businesses. PricewaterhouseCoopers was really a culture of empowering people. It was all about giving the consultants the tools and the capabilities and the training to be as capable and talented as possible. Bertelsmann was really a case of we've done things this way for years, and we're going to continue to do things this way. It was very much a tradition heavy culture. Sony was full of politics. It was the most politically charged environment that I've ever worked in. Everybody had their own political agenda, and a lot of times decisions were made based on politics, not based on what was best for the company. And then finally, Robert Half. Robert Half was the most cutthroat culture I've ever been a part of. It was what have you done for me lately culture. You could close a sales deal yesterday, and it could be the biggest deal that you've closed in several months, and the next week people want to know what deal have you closed this week. No patience for no patience for slumps at all in that culture. It was a very, very high pressure sales culture. And finally, the last of the eight areas of management that I want to go over is leadership. Managers at all levels of the organization must stay on top of what's happening, be adept in determining what problems lie in the path of operating excellence, and push the organization for good results and operating excellence. So I like to divide this into three areas. First of all, feel the vibe, or managing by walking around. You gotta get out and hang out with your employees. You gotta understand what is on their plate day to day. What are the challenges and tasks that are that they're facing every day in order to be able to relate to them. And then you need to solve problems. So the higher up you rise in management, the harder the tasks are that you have to do. Your job increasingly, as you get to higher and higher levels of management, is not to do things, but to do the things that no one else wants to do the things that no one else can do, and to fix problems so that the rest of your employees are able to do the rest of their jobs. So increasingly, it's not very fun, but increasingly the higher up you get in management, the crappier the tasks are that you have to do, because nobody else wants to do them, and they're problems that get in the way of everybody in the organization. So you need to solve them in order to empower people to move forward. And then finally, you want to inspire employees. So it's not so much about telling people what to do, but empowering them with a vision of how things could be better, how things could be could be excellent and really working on inspiration rather than management. That, although I thought it was going to take longer, once again is the end of my lecture on management for today. Let me pull up the case analysis template quickly here and show you what I want you to do for this part of the template. If we scroll down to the management analysis section, I've got 4 of those 8 areas that I lectured on today that I want you to find information on for me. So this is a copy and paste activity. I want you to go to ProQuest or to Google. And first of all, for organization, I want you to find for me, how does the company recruit, retain, or empower staff? Go out and do a search, find an example for me of how they do recruiting or how they have done something to retain or empower staff. Copy, paste here, footnote below. For systems, I want to know about what software and hardware systems the company uses internally. So this is not about what hardware or software they sell. So like you guys are doing LG, I think, as your company. I don't want to know about their products that they sell. I want to know about what hardware and software do they use internally in their organization. So again, find me an example out there of a story or a report on internal hardware and software that these companies are using. Copy, paste, footnote. For rewards and incentives, I want you to find information for me on how the company compensates employees and what sort of non-financial incentives they offer. So go out, find information for me on both monetary and non-monetary incentives. Copy, paste here, footnote below. And then finally, for leadership, I want you to go out and find a report for me on what specific managers or executives in that organization are doing to either inspire staff or solve operational problems. So go out, I would suggest that you do a search on the name of the CEO or the name of some of the vice presidents or C-level people in the organization. Do a search on their name and look for the reports that come up about the work that they're doing as part of their job. Copy, paste, footnote. So with that, we have pretty much gone over everything in the template with the exception of financial analysis. So just once again, covering what I want you guys to do before spring break, I want each of these pages filled out with information. So the final thing that you're going to do is go in and write a summary of what you think the most important issue is, and what the most important issue is in each area of analysis. Vision, mission, objectives. We've been over all of this stuff. I think that is the last part of this template that I have not gone over yet. The only thing that I still need to go over with you guys is the financial analysis section, which I'll go over next Monday. So that's it for my lecture. Do you guys have questions on what I expect? You have questions about anything else? Which assignment? The second writing assignment is due by the end of this weekend. So the end of the day on Sunday. Any other questions? Okay, get out of here. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.